Hello, my name is Paige Tucker,
And Jessica Lassiter.
and this is Complex Chemistry. And Complex Chemistry promotes conscious conversations to promote healthy relationships and healing.
All right, so we have a panel full of beautiful people, and we'll let them introduce themselves. We'll start this way.
Okay, ladies first.
Oh,
We insist.
thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Jameer Jenkins, and I'm an actress, model, and producer. And I'm really excited to be here today.
I'm Lawrence Parker. I'm a financial advisor in a firm downtown St. Pete.
All right.
Rick Coleman. I own a tax and credit repair business. That's it.
All right, thank you so much. And today's topic is healing while black. So let's get into our topic today. So first question is, how does one know they need healing?
That's a good one.
I think in terms of recognizing that you may need some type of healing, two big things come to mind. You need to spend some time with yourself. Whether that's meditation, whether that's yoga, exercise, whatever you do, decompress and spend some time with yourself and reflect is necessary. And then the second part of that for me is you need to have people around you that can be honest with you in a constructive way. And then if you do those two things, you'll realize that, somebody may mention you that, hey man, you might want to look into therapy, man. You got some trauma you went through that you're still carrying. And you can receive that instead of being defensive.
I think you highlighted two of the most important things. So one, spend some time with yourself, solitude. And I think a lot of people are scared to be just by themselves.
It's scary.
It brings up some feelings and some things that they don't want to face. And so their phone, everybody know, is a huge distraction. Video games, TV, just a distraction of you not being able to be just one with yourself.
Avoiding.
The first time I got into a deep meditation, it was scary. Like I snapped out of it so quick because I had been trying to meditate for so long, but I took a new approach and I felt so high. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was scary. So spending time with yourself can be scary, I agree. But it's necessary.
And do you mind sharing what the approach was?
Yeah, so one of my partners told me about, breathing, like feeling the breath through your nose on your mustache. That never worked for me. I tried, couldn't reach it. And somebody else told me about listening to a sound. So I put the fan on, it's a faint sound, and I just concentrated on the sound of the fan. And before I knew it, I was there, and I was like, what is this? I never felt this before. I gotta get out of this. It was scary, but it's something I revisited.
And how has that transformed you though? Because that sounds like it was a powerful experience.
It allowed me to, experience spending time with myself in one of its truest forms. And it allowed me to, scared that first time, and then you come back and you do it, you gradually and progressively become better at it.
Yeah. I love meditation. I do it every morning. Anybody else? How you feel about that?
About meditation or the triggers to...
All of it. What do you say?
I think a good way to understand and know people who I help and work with who recognize they need healing is like they'll say, I don't know why I did this. When you find yourself acting outside of your character of something that truthfully, who I am, this is not, what I did is not aligned with who I am. Sometimes that means you have some unresolved things in healing that you need. Or if you find yourself being triggered by things or and lashing out or having a reaction to things that normally you wouldn't have those types of reactions to. That means that you're being touched in places internally that you haven't acknowledged or healed, and that is a sign that, okay, I might need to have someone help me. This is outside of the scope that I'm able to handle for myself.
Right.
Definitely, so that's really important. And like you touched on a really good point as far as those outside triggers. Like if you easily find yourself being triggered by these outside forces, and like once people can see those, they can really control you. And you notice like you're being controlled by others simply because you're snapping off, and you're almost like a little kid or like a dog on a chain.
Yes.
And like you're just snapping at the world around you, and like you have no control over that situation whatsoever.
And
Because someone
sometimes,
else is poking at it.
yep.
Yeah, and I don't even think people realize that. Like
No,
that
because they
powerful
deny
what you
it
just said.
underneath,
Yes.
they deserved it.
Right.
You know, they provoked me to behave this way. So that is sort of like how I hide the fact that I need to deal with some of the shit that
Right.
keeps triggering me.
And not that socially, society makes us feel like, oh, I ain't gonna be punked. I'm not gonna let nobody disrespect
Right.
me. Like you get this rhetoric that comes up, but it's like I tell my sister, my friends, we have a conversation. I'm like, I know people that I can go say certain things to, and like that they go from 0 to 100. I don't want nobody controlling me like that.
That's scary. That's scary. Like, yeah.
Puppet
Yeah.
pulling strings.
Right.
That's all you
It's a
are.
manipulation. You help people manipulate you.
Yeah.
When they understand these things about you in a way that you don't understand them about yourself, you essentially give people the power to manipulate you into doing things that they want you to do.
Absolutely.
And then if you're not careful about who you are already surrounding yourself with, then those people can become very toxic to you, because then they'll be controlling you to get what they want instead of walking with you on your path, your life path, and you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, and I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do. Now I'm trying to pull you and make you do what I want you to do.
I think that's very important. The people you keep around you help shape you and mold you.
Yes.
Sure.
That's very important. Lawrence and I were having a conversation off camera, kind of about that, you know. Whereas some people may not understand who you are, and you have some people that'll let you be, and then you'll have some people, like if you know, when you first got in entrepreneurship, you had people that told you like, "What are you doing? You going cold turkey now? You shouldn't do that. That's not safe. That's not good." You know, because they have insecurity, so they want you to be insecure. But then you have people that kind of let you, you know, grow and be your truest self. So.
And it's important to like be okay with letting those relationships go. And
Yes.
I know me personally, I had a difficult time with it because I was like, man, like I've known this person for so many
Yeah, it's
years,
tough.
for so long. But then I realized, I'm like, why does this really bother you? Why does this change bother you? And I remember one person in particular, like the only thing he could tie it back down to, he was like, you've changed. I'm like, well, have I been a bad friend to you? Like, what have I done to deserve this? And he's like, no, you just changed. And I'm like, so, and
Growth.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah. You
and-
changed and I'm not above you anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm like, and
And that's a great point to how does one know they need healing if they don't have any boundaries. That's not having boundaries. It's by allowing people to be around you and to manipulate you and pull from you when you know you don't have it to give.
Absolutely.
And if you're making decisions out of fear and not love, there are two ways. You can make decisions out of love or out of fear. And if you find yourself constantly making decisions out of fear, the fear of losing something, the fear of this, the fear of that, if it's not coming from a loving place, like, am I making this decision? Is this coming from a loving place? Love for myself, love for other people? If you're making it in a fearful place, then there's something that needs to be healed there.
sure.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, kind of touching on what everyone was saying, is just like how you react to everything. Like if you're always reacting to every little thing, I mean, a bird hits your window or something, and you just freaking out. And I always say, like, you can't control what happens around you, but you can control how you respond. And if you're constantly responding to every single thing, everything irritates you, it might be you.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Or if every person irritates you, or you're having conflict with everyone you come into contact with, I think you're the common denominator. So that's when it's like you have to sit back and, you know, reflect and do that work. And why am I triggered by every single thing that's happening? Why am I so bothered? And I think it also goes back to, you know, like, you know, growing up. We're not allowed to, oftentimes in our community, we're not allowed to express our emotions and really say how we're feeling. So then you become an adult and you're like, oh, I'm going to speak my mind every chance I get because you've been muted for so long. And we have to heal from that. And even recognizing, like, you know what, I respond this way because my voice was taken away from me as a child. So this is why I'm always having to have the last word, or I have to be, you know, I have to be combative, and it's always conflict because I didn't get to use my voice as a child.
Or they go the complete opposite way and sacrifice everything for everybody and make them make themselves a martyr in a situation. Well, why are you doing that? Why are you giving of yourself to the point where you don't have anything left?
Yep. And then at that point, they really want to just blame it on the world and flip it on them. Yep. But at the same point, this is a situation that you've created for yourself. Like, okay, you put yourself in that hole. I feel really bad about it, but due to your own circumstances, this was you. And we want to help you, but you got to help yourself.
Yes, and oftentimes everything that you just said is, I've always heard people say, I'm just a giver, I'm just that nice, I'll do anything for anybody, I'll give them the shirt off my back, which on the flip side, that's nice. But on the other side, that sounds like you might have been raised by a narcissist.
Yes.
If you internalize
you don't
and
feel
you
like you deserve anything.
Right.
That's what you're saying. You don't think you deserve anything. And if you don't think you deserve the bare minimum of the shirt on your back, imagine how you operate in a relationship with somebody. You don't think you deserve love.
And then that right there that's when they finally say, well, I don't know, that's just the way I am in relationships. I give. And then you hear them talk about how people are taking from them. There is nothing wrong with being a giver. There is nothing wrong with being nice and genuine and want to help people. That's the way everyone should be. But you never want to be that way when you're at the expense of it. Like, you lose yourself and you make that other person a thief.
Come on.
Because you're allowing them to steal from you. Like I always say, your cup should be full.
Absolutely.
And you give when your cup is overflowing. And when that cup is not overflowing, I don't have nothing to give. Because if you keep letting people pull from you, your cup will stay empty. And if you don't have a friends or family or that network around you that pours into you, which usually people are like that, they're around people who take, you're going to feel depleted, exhausted. Like, I'm tired of everybody wanting something, nobody does nothing for me, and you blame other people. But in all actuality, it's like you got to look inside yourself and do some healing and figure out why you're that way.
And I believe that is the intersection of love and spirituality. And I feel like I help a lot of people spiritually deal with a lot of those things, but I feel like the things that end right there, the reason why you're not feeling like you deserve and you allow people to take it, because your spirituality and your connectivity to what is greater than you and God is lacking. You're not operating.
There's no alignment.
Because if you believe that you are a child of God, if you believe that you are connected to the universe, whatever you observe is your higher power, it is disrespectful to God for you to allow anybody to treat you any kind of way.
Yes.
Your own mother and father will be like, not my child, right? You're not going to do this, not my baby.
Right.
Imagine how God feels about us.
Right.
That you will let somebody treat you and do you any kind of way. God is like, not my baby, not my child.
Absolutely.
You have to have boundaries, and you have to have a sense of that what I deserve. Right. And it's not an entitlement,
Right.
It could be, people, anything in excess is bad. Right. But you have to have a sense of entitlement of light to be like, you know what, I'm not going to allow someone to deplete me.
Right. Self-worth.
Yeah,
Yes.
Understanding your identity, understanding who you are. Like, when I go and do motivational speeches for youth, I always ask them, I said, who are you? People are always telling you to do well in school and be respectful and all of these things, but no one is telling you to really think about who you are. I did an activity with them. I said, who are you? Oh, I'm a future athlete. I'm this, I'm that. I said, I didn't ask who you want to be. Who are you? And they really had to sit in that. And one little kid was like, I don't know. And it's like, that's okay. That's why we're having this conversation. Right. Because oftentimes we're not taught to look into who we are. Yes. It's who we want to be, right? And it's like, but who are you now? And even in knowing who you are, that's going to determine what you accept, what you allow people to do to you. And a lot of people walk around here not knowing who they are.
Even at 50.
Exactly.
Not even kids. We talking about some grown adults
because
don't even know who they are.
It sets us very young with, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Exactly.
Yeah. That automatically puts everyone in a position of work, process, get, work. Yeah. Instead of like, I'm enjoying life's journey.
Yes.
I'm very present in the moment.
Yes.
I am where I need to be right now. But then we get all into, you know, I gotta have, I'm not there yet. I was supposed to do this by this age. It hasn't happened for me.
Yeah, I think we all got that.
I think from a male's perspective, like especially being a kid, like I have this theory. So if you have a young man like a toddler, and you have a young woman or a young girl like a toddler, and the girl falls down, what do you say typically? You console her, right? Well, as a man, we don't really get that. Get up, boy. Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Yeah. Don't you cry.
Shake it off.
Stop crying.
Right.
So you're teaching that toddler not to be expressive.
Of
You're
pain.
teaching him not to communicate.
And not to understand that something about
Exactly.
you is hurt.
Yeah.
So you have grown men that get into relationships
Ooh,
with
Lord.
beautiful women that don't really know how to
Can't emote.
communicate because we're taught to always be that's not effective. That don't really, it's not practical. Doesn't
It's
really work.
not communication.
And real quick, that brings me to the point where I know somebody touched on it a little bit earlier about children being silent. And so I seen a video, I think it was on my Instagram or something, where the kid wanted to do something. I can't remember, but let your children have a choice. I don't understand why a lot of us in the Black community don't want our children to have a choice.
I know why.
What is wrong with them having a choice? They need to practice having a choice. They need to practice having a voice. That is why a lot of us walk around here muted and have been sexually abused or molested or even beaten and don't speak about it because we've been muted our whole life. And so giving us that voice as young as I want to wear my Superman cape to school, that's not hurting nobody. Let that baby put his Superman cape on, put his little Spider-Man shoes on, and let him go to school. And I mean, you always give them the opportunity for choices and consequences. You don't just let them run around and do everything, but there are moments in time where they can make a decision, because making that healthy decision at 5 years old of I want to wear these shoes because these are my favorite shoes every day, is going to translate them to being older, to when they get pulled over by the police or when they get arrested for something, knowing that what happened to me was wrong. This is wrong. This isn't right because I choose to do certain things. I have a choice to say what I want to say, and I should be treated equally. And so a lot of times we don't even know our worth because we never even had a chance to have a choice. And it starts very young with I don't like cauliflower.
Oh, you don't like cauliflower? I'm gonna put 2 heapings of cauliflower.
Right.
Now you gonna eat this cauliflower.
You don't get up from that table until you finish eating that
Exactly.
food.
You don't get to say what you want to eat.
Well, people do that because it is a process to walk someone through decision making.
Yes.
You have to teach that child what decision making is and how to make decisions.
Exactly.
And when you don't make good decisions, then your own decision making is in question, honey.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for you to teach someone else how to make good decisions for themselves. So it's because I said so.
Yep.
Because you don't want to have to explain
Right.
how to make choices, but it's important. If you don't, then when they get older and they're left to making choices, they've never had anybody walk them through that.
That's the point. Which brings us to our next question about how not making those choices at a very young age brings us to how has historical trauma affected the way African Americans connect romantically and intimately in relationships today?
It is very important that at a very young age we get everybody equipped with the right language. And giving children language is so powerful. You know, they hold on to what you tell them. You told me you were taking me to Chuck E. Cheese. On Tuesday, you said we were going on Saturday. Right?
They don't forget.
They do not forget. So imagine if you empower them with the language that they need to take ownership and make decisions and have relationships and have self-worth and what they need as far as love. You know, and how to express that. How do you feel right now? My godson yesterday, I was giving him a bath. I'm so very proud of my friend in the way that she works with him as a boy, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
I was giving him a bath and he was playing and he stopped and he said, I feel happy.
He was able to be present.
Right.
And your face just lit up, by the way.
Oh my goodness, he don't need to say nothing. You want some extra cookies and chocolate? But it was like, she gives him the language to be able to know how he feels. That what you're feeling when you feel angry and you want to tear things up, what is that? What is that you feel? I feel mad. Why do you feel mad? Searching all the way down to the root of that, helping them understand this feeling I have in my stomach. I don't know why I feel that way. Let's talk about it. What is that feeling that you have? And it just lit me up that somebody will get him in the future, a man who can say how he feels, who can feel on the inside, interpret what the feeling is, and articulate it.
That's a gold. Tell him he got something. that's like a black unicorn,
right? Okay, she making magic over there.
That's magic. Tell her to keep making that magic.
Okay, I was so proud. I'm like, look at my baby up, knowing what he feels.
And so we talk about the history of being black in America and how that can affect you to be able to have a healthy, romantic, intimate relationship. I would love for our guys to kind of speak on that.
Absolutely. So a very, very close friend of mine shared a story with me. He grew up in Mississippi. His father had a master's degree in the 60s, so he became an engineer. So with him becoming an engineer, what they did was, when they hired him, they fired the janitor, right? So he had to clean out the urinals. They would pick their pubic hair and put it in the urinals, and he had to go through all of that. So he was belittled as a man at work, and he thought that if I just get this master's degree, I'm set. My family good, I'm set. But he had to do the janitorial work. With that being said, he wasn't able to be a man at work. So when he came home, that was the only place where he was able to be a man. So he overcompensated for that. His relationship with his wife, his relationship with his kids, all of that was real traumatic. Because that was the only space he felt like he could be a man.
Wow.
Not saying it was right,
Right.
but just giving perspective on how things can affect your relationships with the woman that you love, with your kids. So
I think that is so
traumatic.
powerful that you give voice to that and you use that as an example. Because in the dynamic of black women and black men, I don't think that is talked about enough. That black women sometimes take the brunt of the pain from the outside world because we are accessible.
Well, it sucks because the person that you're closest to or most comfortable with gets the truest form of you, and that could come out brash, that could come out lovely. It just depends.
If you're doing the work, right? If you're in a place where you're dealing with that and you understand this is what it is, and it still may happen because of the stressfulness of relationships in general, but it doesn't have to be I'm like hulking through this situation because I have no acknowledgement or self-examination or introspection of what is going on here.
I like what you said because it goes back to the historical trauma. Because think about during slavery how the black man was treated. And you have techniques like buck breaking and being whooped in public. Imagine what that's like for a man, and then he has to go and lead his family. So that's something, that idea of having to overcompensate and show that I'm the man of this house, that goes way back to slavery, and it's something that has continued through generation, but you can pinpoint it back then, because the dynamics that we have between men and women now started then. You emasculate the man and you empower the female, and now we have our households out of order. You have the women leading the household, and you're supposed to be a team. But ever since slavery, that idea was eliminated. The idea of the team was eliminated.
I feel like there were pockets of it. I feel like very much during the civil rights movement, there were a lot of families and people. Yeah, there was still that dynamic, right? But I feel like what really devastated us, that we really are still kind of working our way, is the crack epidemic and the drug epidemic. But I feel like prior to that, the black family unit was getting stuff done,
but from a different context. So she mentioned slavery, but prior to slavery, before we even came on this land over here in America, we was really living our best lives.
We were.
It was still some issues over in Africa at that time before slavery, but we were doing something right that we got your attention, that you wanted to come over here and take that. So we was kings and queens, and we was doing good.
We looked valuable.
We looked real valuable. So you took us while we were valuable, and we still were valuable when we got over here. And you wanted to bring us down to the lowest of the lowest. And I think historically, how it has affected African Americans romantically, intimately, is the fact that once they did bring us over here, they completely separated us. So of course, like you said, they took the men, they beat them, they made them fear them, and so then the women, all they wanted them to do was to have babies, and they would just put them with some random Joe because he's huge, 6'2", and the woman 6 foot, and they're like, okay, they're gonna make some strong babies, let's put them together. Put you together, you breed, you have children, then you separate. And so the women were left to do, basically, and I hate putting like gender norms on top, but back then they were left to do the man and the woman's job of the household. And so historically that continued to play until we get into the civil rights movement, where you're talking about, where we did start coming together and having those families with 10 children, mom and daddy work, mama stay home, daddy go working, you know, those family dynamics. But in that, we still carried that slave mentality of the woman doing whatever the husband want you to do. It was a submissive, which has been a real popular term lately, but it was just from a different context of being submissive then than what it is now. And it was the man does everything. He can go out and sleep with whoever he wanted to and do what he wanted to, but you must be home and take care of these kids and take care of him when he get back, right? And so then it moves into us now, women. A lot of us have, he changed that, brought out Medicaid, brought out all these different programs that's going to help the single black woman now. Hey, come on, we're going to give you a place to stay for free. We're going to feed you. We're going to give you health care. But you cannot have that black man in your house. Right? You can't have a black man in your house, but we'll do all of this for you. Look at this gold platter. It look nice, don't it? You don't have to pay for nothing, right?
All right, babe.
And so that was another agenda of separating us, creating that welfare where we could not have him in the home, but you would take care of us. And so then we start to live as wanting to be, I need to make sure I'm good enough to be the mom, and to make sure I'm good enough to be the father, because then now the father feels like I'm not needed. And I've always believed women have to feel wanted, men have to feel needed. And at this point, you're getting everything taken care of, and then the man is on top of you saying, hurry up, file for child support. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get some child support. Get some money from him. And if he don't, we're going to throw him in jail. And so for the black man, I always feel like they're getting beat down. Even though black women are getting beat down as well, they're getting beat down even more. And so it brings us to the point now where when you're raised by a single mother, like I was, my mother is phenomenal, by the way. I love her, and I wish I could be like half of who she is. But when I was married, I realized that I was acting as a single mother, but I'm married. No one taught me how to be a wife. No one taught me how to love this man and treat this man as a woman should. Not that I didn't love him. I loved him tremendously. I think I did really, really good. But there were areas about me that acted like a single mother. So I was a single mother, married without any children. And so I had to really sit back and look at that and say, okay, hold on. Like I'm real masculine, this alpha female over here, because that's what I witnessed my half of my life with my mom. And so not having the father in the home contributes to how we interact with other people romantically and intimately.
It does. But I also believe that sometimes we criticize the alpha woman, when sometimes it is the social construct that is making it as if like these are the gender roles for women, and because you are atypical of what that is, we label you as an alpha woman and you can't be under a man. Well, there are a lot of men who like alpha women. Like there are a lot of men who they like a powerful woman and they don't feel emasculated by it, and they enjoy having conversation or whatever, that it doesn't have to be a negative thing, but it can be toxic, like you're saying, if in those relationships you allow it to make you have those feelings in your partner. But I just hate to hear alpha women almost like just because you're alpha woman, you're just naturally not doing what you're supposed to do as a woman in a relationship.
You can still have a partnership with your partner. That's the difference.
Be a strong woman.
Not having that partnership. You can be a strong woman. You can be single. successful, have your businesses, raising your children, but you have to know how to have a partnership with your partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that just goes back to the whole romantically and intimately connecting, because I feel like as the Black family unit, like we don't have a issue in working together and being a unit on the like outside. I'm talking about like for
So
relationships
everyone
that are
else will
intact.
perceive.
But what's going on in that home, and are the mom and dad, husband, wife, whoever, are they truly connecting? Because you could be married for 25, 30 years and find out, hey, they didn't even love each other, but they were putting on so that they could create that security and stability that we needed for the family to stay together. But they still weren't connecting romantically and intimately. They had 10 children, 12 children, 15 children, but the relationship
Was lacking.
was lacking.
I think balance at any rate is very important. And if you're in tune with a frequency or a balance, it allows you to let that person be themselves. Whether it's an alpha woman or more of a woman that's more of a submissive type. You know what I mean? You should aspire, and this is my opinion, you should aspire to be with somebody who compliments you. Not, Jamil, you look nice, but in terms of, okay, you're strong in this
Your
area.
sensitivities,
Right.
your triggers.
I'm strong in this area. This is how I can compliment you and what you got going on. And this is how you can compliment me. And I think that allows you to build as a relationship.
And I think our relationships have taken the tolls that we have because we're all lacking spiritually.
Yeah.
We are not, a lot of people are not aligned with what they should be doing spiritually. And and if you're having problems in other areas of your life, that's the first place you need to start. What is your connection with God?
That's a whole nother conversation.
Well, I got to agree with my fellow panelists on this. Like, I feel history's played a really big part in this, and especially when it comes to that family dynamic, because we both kind of touched on it after the civil rights movement. Like, the large families was the norm, especially in the Black community. And unfortunately, like, I don't feel the same way about it. And like, hey, we all have our personal thoughts. I feel that's just that continuation of that mentality, that slave mentality. It's like, hey, we're a scarce thing. We have to reproduce. We have to repopulate. And then you put these strains on yourselves and on your lives, because like then, like, once you have 10 kids, you now have to feed 10 kids. And like, not everybody's built for that. And like, they're not necessarily thinking of the next step. They're just thinking of right in front of them. That's the slave mentality. It's like, you're not thinking of 2 years in the future. You're thinking of what's right in front of you. So like, hey, cool, let's have kids. Because I love kids. Kids are babies. Cool. Kids become adults. Adults become other adults. Like, how is this going to affect us long term? And I don't think historically we weren't there. Like, that was not our decision to make. That decision was taken from us.
Right.
And we got cut out on our own, and now we are making these decisions for ourselves, but we're not thinking of the next step. Because like, if people truly thought of that next step, that next generation, I don't think we'd have so many, like, unfortunately broken homes. Because like, hey, if I have 3 children, I have 3 small people out there who depend on me, who I have to take care of. I have to do this because this is the thing I have to do as my responsibility. Not because the state's forcing me to, because they're going to send me to jail if I don't pay a certain fine or a certain fee. But like, how does this impact the world? How does this touch the universe? How does this affect like my part touch the world? And like, we're not thinking big enough, because like, in the past that wasn't our right. Like, it was taken from us. It was like, yo, you don't think about that. Your job is to till that field, make me my kids. That's your job. Do your job. Now that's not our job anymore. Like, we have our seat at our table. What are we gonna do with it? And we have to like really encompass and like take that power.
That's a poverty mindset.
It is.